Hello, hello, my fabulous Royal Sussex Squad family. Welcome back to another special episode where we cut through the noise, call out the nonsense, and uplift our beloved Duke and Duchess of Sussex, Harry and Meghan, the way they deserve. Today we're diving deep into yet another story making the rounds, all about Queen Camilla and how she's supposedly staying out of the drama between King Charles and Prince Harry. But as always, there's so much more going on beneath the surface. So grab your tea, your coffee or your sparkling water, whatever makes you feel cosy, and let's get into it. So here's the gist of it. This so-called exclusive from People magazine claims Queen Camilla is keeping her distance from the strained relationship between King Charles and his youngest son, Harry. According to this piece, while Charles and William are still estranged from Harry, Camilla is just politely minding her own business, staying out of the drama. But come on now, we know the truth is never that simple in the House of Windsor. You see, this story isn't just about Camilla. It's a window into how the palace wants to shape the narrative. It's about how even when Harry is extending olive branches, even when he's out there publicly saying he loves his family despite the differences, the palace machine just can't seem to let go of their favourite scapegoats. Harry and Meghan, and I have to tell you, friends, I'm so tired of these so-called insiders who speak anonymously, always spinning the same tired story. They say Camilla is staying neutral, but let's not forget, this is the same Camilla Harry called dangerous in his memoir, Spare. And let's not pretend he didn't have his reasons. Harry's been clear and honest from day one. He talked about how Camilla, in her quest to rehabilitate her image, was more than willing to sacrifice him on her personal PR altar. Let that sink in. A stepmother who saw a young man grieving the loss of his mother and instead of protecting him, allegedly chose to leak stories about him to polish up her own image. That's not neutral, that's not passive, that's calculated. And Harry had every right to put that in his book. What's so striking to me is how he still speaks of her in measured terms. He says they're perfectly pleasant when they see each other. He doesn't see her as an evil stepmother, but as someone who's always had her own agenda. That's grace. That's someone who's willing to let bygones be bygones, if the other side is willing to meet him halfway. But the article barely touches on that. It's so focused on this image of Camilla sipping her tea in the background, while poor Harry is painted as the problem child. And let's be real, this is the narrative we've seen time and time again. Blame Harry and Meghan for everything, because it's easier to do that than to face the real issues within that family. You know what really gets me, Sussex Squad? The palace says they don't trust Harry and Meghan with confidential conversations. Oh, the irony. Who's been leaking all these stories to the tabloids for decades? Who's been trading in private family details to keep themselves in the good graces of the British press? Because I'll tell you this, it's not Harry and Meghan who keep planting stories in the Daily Mail and the Sun. It's the same tired playbook. Paint Harry and Meghan as untrustworthy and then blame them when the palace's own dirty laundry ends up on the front page. We've seen it over and over, and it's so transparent at this point. Let's not forget why Harry and Meghan left the UK in the first place. They didn't pack up and move across the ocean because they wanted to distance themselves from their family. They left because they had no choice. Their security was stripped. Their mental health was under attack, and the very institution that was supposed to protect them decided to hang them out to dry. And even now, after everything, Harry still says he loves every member of his family. That's not the language of someone out to destroy the monarchy. That's the language of someone who's been hurt deeply but who still believes in the power of love and family. That's someone who's willing to forgive, if only the other side would stop clinging to their outdated, toxic patterns. I think it's worth reflecting on what it must feel like to be Harry right now. His father is battling cancer. His brother is ignoring him. His stepmother is staying neutral, which in palace speak means she's just staying silent while others keep fueling the fire. And yet he still shows up. He still cares. He still wants a relationship with his father, even if the palace keeps throwing up walls. I know some people say, well, why doesn't Harry just let it go? But let me ask you, how many of us could walk away from our family completely, knowing there's still love there? How many of us would want to reconcile if we knew our father might not have much time left? That's the human side of this story that the British tabloids always ignore, because they're too busy turning everything into a soap opera, complete with sources and shady leaks. But here's what the palace doesn't understand. Harry and Meghan aren't playing their game anymore. They're not living their lives to please the British press. They're living for themselves, for their children, and for the world they want to build, one that's kinder, more honest and more just. And let's talk about those kids for a second, because that's really the heart of everything Harry and Meghan do. Archie and Lilibet are growing up in a home filled with love, not royal protocols and photo ops. They're growing up seeing parents who stand up for what's right even when it's hard. That's the legacy Harry and Meghan are building, and it's something no tabloid smear campaign can ever touch. But of course, the palace doesn't see it that way. According to them, Harry and Meghan are still the problem. And let's not forget the line in this article that says there's no good angel in Charles's ear telling him to be a good dad and make the first move. Can you believe that? That's basically admitting that Charles is surrounded by people who'd rather keep this feud alive than help him reconnect with his own son. It's tragic, really, but it's also a reminder of how twisted the palace's priorities have become. Because in the end, what matters more than family? What matters more than love? Harry's out here saying he wants to talk, he wants to heal, but the palace is too busy managing optics to pick up the phone. You know what else strikes me? This idea that the King and William don't trust Harry and Meghan. Let's be real. What they're really saying is they don't trust Harry and Meghan to keep quiet about the truth, because Harry and Meghan have never been afraid to tell their story. They've never been afraid to say, here's what really happened. And that's what terrifies the palace. The truth. The truth is that Harry and Meghan have always operated from a place of honesty. They've never lied about the racism Meghan faced. They've never hidden the pain of losing their security or being driven out of their home. They've spoken openly, vulnerably, and with such courage. Meanwhile, the palace plays this endless game of no comment while their so-called friends in the press do the dirty work for them. And don't think for a second that William is innocent in all this. He's been the most silent of them all, even as his brother and sister-in-law faced unimaginable abuse. William wants to be seen as the dutiful heir, but where's the duty to his own brother? Where's the compassion? Because let's be honest, if you can't show compassion to your own family, how are you going to lead a nation with compassion? It's such a powerful reminder that Harry and Meghan have walked away from a world that would rather protect the institution than protect the people inside it. And you know what? Good for them, because at the end of the day, no amount of titles or tiaras is worth sacrificing your mental health, your children's safety, or your soul. And that's what I want to shout from the rooftops today. Sussex squad! Harry and Meghan are the ones who had the courage to say no more. They didn't want to play the palace games. They didn't want to spend their lives in service to a system that didn't value them. They wanted freedom, and they built it for themselves. And even now, they're still offering the possibility of peace. Harry's out here saying, I love my family. He's not slamming doors shut, but how long can he keep knocking when no one on the other side will open up? This is why it's so important for us to keep speaking the truth, to keep supporting Harry and Meghan, and to keep pushing back against these tired old narratives, because if we don't, the same people who've always tried to tear them down will keep winning. And let's not forget, Harry and Meghan are out here doing incredible work. Archewell is making real change in the world, supporting mental health initiatives, working with communities, shining a light on issues that matter. That's what they're about, not palace drama, not endless feuds, real change, real impact, real love. So while the palace keeps playing their little games, Harry and Meghan are building a future for their family, and for all of us who believe in something better. That's what inspires me every single day. And that's why I'll never stop speaking up for them. I want to take a moment to say to every member of the Sussex squad out there listening, thank you for standing with them. Thank you for seeing through the spin, for not letting the tabloids fool you, and for remembering that at the heart of this story is a family trying to heal. I want you to remember that every time you see another tabloid headline blaming Harry and Meghan, it's just noise. It's just the palace trying to cover up its own failings. Don't let it get to you. Keep your eyes on the truth. Keep your hearts open, because Harry and Meghan have shown us what real courage looks like, and they've shown us what real family means. And if you're loving these conversations and want to keep them going, don't forget to subscribe to this channel. Hit that notification bell so you never miss an update. And if you want to show some extra love and support, consider donating via Super Thanks. Your support helps us keep telling the stories that matter and shining a light on the people who deserve it. Because here at the Royal Sussex Squad, we're not just fans, we're a family. We're a community that believes in love, in truth, and in standing up for what's right, even when it's not easy. So let's keep supporting Harry and Meghan the way they've always supported each other, with loyalty, with compassion, and with unshakable faith that love always wins. Thank you for being here with me today. Thank you for standing up for Harry and Meghan. And thank you for being part of this amazing Sussex Squad family. Let's keep the conversation going in the comments. I want to hear your thoughts on this royal rift. Do you think King Charles will ever find it in his heart to make peace with Harry? Do you think the palace will ever stop the leaks and the games? Let's talk about it. Camilla's supposed neutrality, often presented as a virtue, conveniently fits the palace's well-worn PR playbook, a strategy honed over decades. It's a carefully constructed image designed to project stability and control. Anonymous sources, often whispered to be within the palace walls, leak stories that consistently cast Harry and Meghan as the problem, the instigators of conflict. Meanwhile, the palace appears calm, collected and rational, issuing carefully worded statements that offer a stark contrast to the perceived emotionality of the Sussexes. The underlying goal? To isolate the Sussexes, both from the royal family and from public support, and ultimately to undermine their credibility, painting them as unreliable narrators in their own story. These narratives aren't accidental. They are not simply the result of chance encounters or misinterpretations. They're a deliberate and calculated campaign, meticulously planned to deflect blame and, crucially, avoid accountability for the institution's own internal failures and shortcomings. The language used is always loaded and carefully chosen. An olive branch is offered, but often represents only minimal efforts from the palace. Conversely, Harry's attempts at reconciliation, however well-intentioned, are consistently twisted and portrayed as acts of aggression or defiance. The intended result? The king is consistently seen as trying to mend fences, a benevolent figure attempting to bridge the divide, while Harry, in contrast, is relentlessly painted as stubborn, unwilling to compromise, and ultimately the obstacle to reconciliation. This constant repetition cements these carefully crafted stories as truth in the public consciousness, even in the absence of concrete evidence. The palace doesn't need irrefutable proof. Just a strategically planted seed of doubt, coupled with a willing and receptive media eager to amplify their narrative. Ultimately, it's an inherently unfair fight. Two individuals standing against a centuries-old institution steeped in tradition and wielding immense power and influence. This relentless and often distorted narrative is precisely why Harry and Meghan made the difficult decision to step away from their royal roles, to reclaim their own voices and control their own story. It's crucial not to mistake carefully crafted PR spin for genuine reality. To understand the rift, we must consider Harry's history with Camilla. Harry described her as the other woman, central to his parents' breakup, a trauma that shaped his life. He feared her influence and saw himself sacrificed for her PR, with negative stories about him traded for positive coverage of her. For Harry, Camilla isn't neutral. She's a symbol of the palace's transactional relationship with the press. Seeing Meghan targeted by the same media only deepened his pain and resolve. Camilla's presence is a constant reminder of unresolved wounds and institutional priorities. True reconciliation requires facing this history, not hiding behind claims of neutrality. The double standard is glaring. When Harry and Meghan speak out, they're accused of betraying royal silence. Yet the palace leaks negative stories through anonymous sources with impunity. This lets the institution attack without accountability, while demanding silence from the Sussexes. Instead of honest dialogue, the palace defaults to character assassination and media manipulation. The Sussexes are held to impossible standards, while others are protected. Challenge the system, and you're targeted. Work within it, and you're shielded. This hypocrisy forced Harry and Meghan to seek a new path, one where they could finally speak their truth. Their courage is a direct response to this institutional double standard. The rules are rigged, but they refuse to play along. Harry and Meghan's decision to step back wasn't impulsive, it was survival. Years of trying to make it work ended with their reasonable proposals rejected and their well-being ignored. Meghan's mental health struggles and the palace's indifference were a breaking point. For Harry, watching history repeat itself was unbearable. Leaving wasn't quitting, it was protecting their family from a toxic system. The relentless, often racist, tabloid abuse and the palace's silence made their value to the firm conditional. By leaving, they chose love, health, and authenticity over titles and tradition. Their courage should be celebrated, not condemned. Walking away wasn't an end, it was a new beginning. They showed that true worth isn't defined by an institution. Beneath the sensational headlines and the carefully crafted narratives lies a simple, undeniable truth. It's a truth often obscured by the grandeur and the spectacle, but it remains at the heart of the matter. It's the story of a family in pain, grappling with complex emotions and fractured relationships. A pain that transcends titles and privilege. Prince Harry, despite everything, wants reconciliation. He yearns for a mending of fences and a return to some semblance of familial harmony. But this desire for reconciliation is not unconditional. It cannot and will not come at the cost of honesty. He's unwilling to sacrifice his truth for the sake of appearances. He's asked for private acknowledgement of the hurt caused, a recognition of the pain and suffering that has been inflicted. This is a basic, fundamental step for healing to even begin. It's about taking responsibility and acknowledging the impact of one's actions. The palace, however, often seems to prioritize image over empathy, focusing on maintaining a pristine public facade. This prioritization of image, unfortunately, only serves to deepen the divide, creating a wider chasm between family members. Every gesture, every interaction is meticulously spun as PR, carefully crafted for public consumption. This constant focus on public relations robs the family of the opportunity for real, genuine connection. The monarchy's inherent rigidity exposes its fundamental inability to meet basic human emotional needs. Harry's wish isn't for a triumphant return to royal life and its associated duties. His true desire is for honest, loving family ties, built on mutual respect and understanding. Above all, he wants his children to know their family, to forge meaningful relationships free from institutional barriers and constraints. This is a universal desire, a longing for connection that is often overshadowed and lost in the midst of royal drama. Because behind the glittering crowns and the imposing titles are people, individuals with vulnerabilities and wounds that desperately need mending. And ultimately, healing starts with truth, with open and honest communication, not with rigid protocol and carefully constructed appearances. Despite it all, Harry and Meghan are focused on the future. In California, they've built a life of purpose, privacy and joy for their children. Through Archewell, they champion causes close to their hearts: mental health, compassion, equity. Their service is authentic, unbound by titles or tradition. We must look past media distortion and see their resilience and hope. Supporting them means supporting honesty, courage and a better world. Their journey proves true royalty is about character, not crowns. Love, as they show us, always wins. Until next time, my friends, stay kind, stay curious, and remember, Harry and Meghan have already won the only battle that matters, the battle to live their truth, love their family, and build a better world. We're here to cheer them on every step of the way. Take care, and I'll see you in the next one.